Happy Labor Day, B&B. Before we get the show started, just a quick note on those families and members that were affected by the devastation of Hurricane Harvey, both in Texas and Louisiana. To all our members there, our thoughts and our prayers are with you, and we hope that the recovery will be quick and that you get everything you need. So if you're the praying type, please say a prayer for all of our members and those affected by Hurricane Harvey along the southern coast, and if not, just keep your thoughts with them. If you'd like to donate, there are plenty of different Harvey relief funds that you can do so. We'll be right back. From the high desert southwest and an indiscreet shave den located in the deep recesses of Ouch's basement, broadcasting north from McMurdo Sound to Ice Station Zebra and east and west across all time zones to our members throughout the world, this is Badger and Blade Radio. Good morning, good afternoon, or good evening, wherever you may be on this big blue rock we call home, and welcome to the special Labor Day edition of Badger and Blade Radio. We certainly hope everybody that has this holiday off is enjoying time with family and friends, and we hope that you're enjoying yourself, and we appreciate you spending time with us. What's on deck for the show tonight? Well, we have news and events around badgerandblade.com for the month of September. We have our mail call segment and our poll about the usage of alum. We'll have the results for that. Then we'll have the final of our shave roundtable and discussion and results from the shaving system shootout. And then we'll also have a little bit about the Mohr auction that's coming up on October 19th and how you can get involved. All this and a whole bunch more when we get back. And now these messages from Above the Tie, Razors and More. Above the Tie Grooming and More, an internet retailer based in Tennessee, brings you a unique offering in the traditional shaving world. Stainless steel and aluminum artisan-made razors that will last a lifetime, proudly manufactured right here in the USA. Bulletproof construction and almost perfect engineering tolerances ensure any razor you purchase from Above the Tie Grooming and More will provide the right shave and the best shave each and every day. The Atlas, Kronos, Colossus, and Bamboo are the backbone of a line of razors that offer limitless variety of customization. Single edge, gem style, double edge safety bar, and open comb all can be ordered, offering a truly customizable experience, including the ability to order just the shave heads, bases, and handles of your choice. Can't decide? Then take advantage of one of the 7-piece and 5-piece complete razor systems to take the level of customization even further to suit your specific needs. Like the lightweight of aluminum? Then try the Calypso or the Bamboo, offering colored, anodized parts to suit your tastes. Again, all Above the Tie Grooming and More razors are made right here by dedicated artisans in the USA. From either 303 solid stainless steel or aircraft grade 7075 aluminum to ensure the utmost in quality. Need more? Above the Tie Grooming offers a complete line of Mohr razors for the budget conscious, as well as shaving accessories from various manufacturers and artisans, including blades, soaps, aftershaves, travel cases, and more. So, for that one-of-a-kind razor system, including an unmatched customer service razor guarantee, your razor from Above the Tie Grooming and More is sure to become a family heirloom. And for all of your shaving needs, visit Above the Tie Grooming and More at www.abovethetie.com. Please remember, we're offering free shipping on all orders over $75. That's www.abovethetie.com. Don't forget, B&B members, that Above the Tie Razors and More now has the new Windsor stainless steel double-edged razor, and you have choices of different heads on that as well. And the copper version of that razor will be in the store shortly, so just keep an eye on the vendor store here for Above the Tie Razors and More. Now, as we open up our mail call section, we did have a poll this week, and the results were interesting. The poll was whether you use alum for both shaving and as a deodorant, or if you use it at all. Interestingly enough, 34.6% sometimes use it, but not consistent. 26.9% don't use alum at all. 19.2% only use it for shaving. 15.4% use it for both shaving and as a deodorant. And 3.8% use it as just a deodorant. And we had some interesting comments about the alum as well. And this comes from Nurse Dave. Using witch hazel almost eliminated any neck soreness post-shave. Adding alum totally got rid of it. They are both permanent parts of my routine now. And from Rock Viper, he uses it on his eggs and he says it's delicious. From GWS Smallwood, dries out my skin too much. I found witch hazel works much better for my skin. From KJ, the Vez 2, I voted sometimes. And by that I mean sometimes I use it after shaving, but not much. And I sometimes use it as a deodorant, but not that much. Yes, I say KJ, that would qualify for sometimes. From B. Berg, he says it leaves him scaly, so I would say that's probably a big no from Bob. From Clyde72, Craig, I started using an alum block with my first shave. Wet shave, that is. I found that the feedback sting was very helpful, and also I like the way it made my face feel when I use it as part of my post-shave routine. Now that I'm learning to use a straight razor, I'm finding the feedback very useful again. From Porter 858, for many years, I've only used it on weepers and nothing else. For the last month or so, I've been using it all over my face and also as a deodorant. Today, I skipped using it on my face and only as a deodorant. I'm testing to see if it does cause some irritation on my neck. From Chad C. Vargo, very rare that I use it now. I've switched to witch hazel and much prefer it. From Phil Sandstone, I use single-use alum sticks now and then if I get a nick. Fortunately, that is very rare occurrence now. From Dave, when my razor needs a deep cleaning or repair, I put it up on, wait for it folks, Dave's a comedian, alum blocks. Yay, ha ha ha, very funny Dave. Thank you. From Avatar, I've always kept a styptic pencil around. It's useful for nicks, cuts, and weepers. Also, canker sores. Try it. I had never heard of alum blocks until I tripped down this rabbit hole. Finally ordered one and now use it after every shave as a feedback tool. I enjoy the way it tightens my skin prior to aftershave and lotion application. I usually do a swift wipe to the pits too. I don't like to put on deodorant directly after a shower. Applying alum serves the dual purposes of maintaining dry pits and a backup in case I forget to put on deodorant later that night. From Farmer Tan, not for this old hippie, but I have used it on canker sores. It does seem to aid in the healing process. From one of our moderators, Dangerous Don, tried it for shaving and didn't like it how it felt on my skin. Used it for deodorant for about 2 weeks. It seemed to do a good job in the anti-smelly part, but he developed a heat rash, so he discontinued the use immediately. From Chris, CB Lindsay, I've been using alum post-shave for almost this year. I think it's helpful in reducing excessively oily face and does help to reduce neck irritation. I also use a witch hazel mixture and added alcohol, menthol, and a bit of alum. I enjoy the routine. I had a Hippie Rock deodorant that my mom gave me, as I like not stinking. I recently dropped my 20-year-old Hippie Rock and it shattered into a number of sharp shards. Now I use the pieces for added grip as needed. From Snurgleblatt, you keep that rock away from me, you hippie. Well, that's the comments for the alum. So it's a pretty mixed bag. I've done testing both fore and aft, and I can see the benefits for both. I will say that as a deodorant, it works well. And here's a little trick, is you can make your deodorant whatever you want it to do. So when you get out of the shower, you're ready to use it. Wet the alum stick or block, whatever you want to do. Wipe your underarms. Then spray a very light mist of whatever fragrance that you prefer or that you'll be wearing with the shave. Then immediately follow that by another coat from the wet alum block. You'll be surprised that your deodorant now will smell like your perfume or your parfum or your EDT that you're using. Now, this works in a very dry climate. We average about 4% relative humidity. So in the wetter places like where Dangerous Don's at in the southeast, it may not work so much because it's not meant as an antiperspirant, but more or less as a deodorant. The nice thing about it is a natural mineral salt, so you don't have to worry about getting aluminum anywhere near your skin, but that's for a different debate and a different subject. So that wraps up the mail call. We'll be right back after this, and just a reminder, Bull Goose Shaving has got some winter projects going on, and the neat thing about the winter projects is that the Evolution Type S, this is a more aggressive plate to the complement standard version of the Asylum Evolution and XL, is coming out very shortly. Also, they are doing a Samog limited edition brush, which will be out shortly, and it will be coming out later this year. And then finally, for those of you that missed Sapoficio Varicino's Flying Mango, the special edition soap, it is coming out again by popular demand. So all these things will be coming out. Make sure you take a look at Phil's vendor store here on badgerandblade.com as more updates will be coming. And here's a quick message from Bull Goose Shaving, and we'll be right back. Since 2009, Bull Goose Shaving Supplies has been providing the best in shaving products to the discerning traditional shaver. carrying shave soaps, creams, aftershaves, fragrances, razors, and accessories from many of the top manufacturers, as well as unique and artisan shave products from around the world. Bull Goose Shaving Supplies also carries its very own product of shave soaps, custom brushes, and razors under the Asylum Shaveworks brand, including the one-of-a-kind Asylum RX single-edge razor, the Asylum Evolution, an homage to the 1930s Darwin, and coming soon to Bull Goose, the Paradigm Titanium double-edge razor. Bull Goose Shaving Supplies is your one-stop shop for bath and shower, as well as all personal grooming accessories. Looking for that special gift or storage solution? We have that too. With lightning-quick order fulfillment, wonderful customer service, and an easy-to-navigate website, you can get everything you need at Bull Goose Shaving Supplies. www.bullgooseshaving.com. That's www.bullgooseshaving.com. Welcome back to B&B Radio, everybody, on this wonderful Labor Day. We certainly hope everybody's having a wonderful holiday weekend, and we're going to go back to part 2 of our Shave Roundtable. If you remember on our last show, we went over the types of items that we did during the razor shootout, and a lot of great information, a lot of surprises came out. So I'd like to reintroduce our Shave Roundtable. We have Walt, we have myself, we have Chris Holmes, and Chris Lindsley. Gentlemen, thank you so much for spending your Labor Day with us. We certainly appreciate it, and welcome back to the show.
Glad to be back.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you, Dave.
Well, as we move forward, I think, we've had some discussions off air after the last broadcast regarding some items that kind of surprised us, and I think that the discussion has been fantastic. And B&B members, you'll be glad to know for at least the next 2 or 3 Shave Roundtables, which will have different subjects, we'll have the same people, because we did discuss that we come at it from different aspects, from different modalities and thought patterns, and so we're going to be researching some other stuff down the road. We're going to try to do probably 4 Shave Roundtables a year, and hopefully this will help both the veteran member and the new member in deciding what types of products to be using. So as we move forward, we're going to go into the biggest overall surprise and some of the individual things that kind of caught us off guard. And for me, the longevity of shave was not a big surprise. I knew with the straights that was going to give me the longest, and I am a BBS chaser. I'm the first one to admit it, and I can usually go anywhere between 9 and 12 hours, depending on my prep and everything else. And I think that's something that we probably failed to mention, is that any razor can probably give a good shave if the technique's right, the prep is right, and the post-shave is the way he did it. And, of course, the software, because I don't know about you guys, but there's some soaps that I can tell a big difference between shaves. So for me, probably the biggest surprise was, and I think we mentioned this earlier, was how good of a shave the cartridge could give. Longevity was rotten. I think we all agree on that. But the overall face feel and the ease of the shave is something that really blew me away. And I think that is the biggest thing. And then the other thing was that after thinking about it now, after our last broadcast, is that the maintenance that I scored as difficult in the straight razor probably could be rethought of, because I, like Walt, I enjoy that final 10 minutes of my shave in the morning to kind of zen out and just concentrate on the steel to the rock, and it does set the day. So that was interesting, and probably my biggest surprise overall, not numbers wise, is just how we all came at this. I really was afraid that we all were going to come at it the same way based on preliminary discussions that we had, as far as we thought we knew that what was going to be number one, but I really found that we came at it from a different way. And one thing that I also know now that's a big surprise is it looks like I guess I'll be buying an injector in the not too near future. Thank you guys, because that's the only thing I don't have. But the RX, probably overall, the RX shave system is the one that surprised me quite heavily as not being more higher up there. Because when I scored it, and just so the B&B members know, we scored it 1 to 5, and basically it was 1 being the worst, shortest or hardest, 5 being the best, longest or easiest. And I was surprised that overall the hybrid did not did not score a little bit higher, and I was also surprised where the DE shave for me came in, because in my system the DE shave actually came in fourth, which really surprised me, because I was using my 15 and the 15 as opposed to the 16, because the 16 is not an open comb, correct, Chris?
Correct.
Okay, so my 15 is an open comb, and it's known to be fairly aggressive, but for whatever reason, I could not get the shaves that I thought I was going to get out of it, because I really thought that between the RX and the double edge, that they were going to be the winners. I had resigned myself to maybe the straight wasn't the top dog, but in the end of things, it did come out that the straight was the best. How about for you, Chris Holmes? What kind of really shocked you and some of your results?
I would say probably the number one thing is how well, actually, this is funny coming right after you, how well the double edge razor worked for me. I had going in thinking, just my own sort of crystal ball, I was thinking it's going to come down to the injector and the traditional straight. That's what I was thinking before we even did shave number one. But, and like from the previous show, the injector came in first. However, on your system, the runner-up was, for me, was the double edge, the Aristocrat number 16. Fabulous results. I mean, it's just it's an excellent razor. I enjoy using it, and it came in second. Now, the other surprise was that two of your categories in your system, the difficulty of use and the maintenance one, so I used that. I scored all those. But those two factors really are not factors for me when I shave. Difficulty of use, if it's a challenge, great, I'm up for it. But I think, like all of us sitting here together today, is we're pretty comfortable in all these. We've already done that. And maintenance is a non-issue to me because, like Walt and everybody has already said, I like honing my own razors.
Sure.
Admittedly, as frustrating as it can be with my conical and J-Nat sometimes, but I do enjoy it in spite of my frustration level sometimes. And the stropping and so forth, I don't mind it. So these are kind of ones that I did a separate sheet that I just scored those two as zeros.
Right, I saw that.
And interestingly enough, the injector was still number one. But I'll wait to talk about the other stuff individually. So my biggest surprise really was how well the double edge scored.
Well, let me ask you a question real quick, Chris. Not to cut in, but when you said something about the 16 being the best as opposed to my 15 not being the best, as far as the DE razors, I think there may have been a factor because obviously, as we just said, the 16 is it's a safety bar as opposed to an open comb, and I'm wondering, if the technique on my part was one of the reasons why that happened, because both the 16 and the 15 are built wonderfully. There was some razor blade differences that we both used, but it's very interesting how a safety bar razor came in a little higher than an open comb razor. And the reason why I say that is I had considered using my Weber PH as my DE razor. So your thoughts on that?
Boy, I don't know. It's an interesting way to look at it. I have several open comb double-edged razors as well. I don't tend to use them as much anymore. I will say that probably one of the best ones I had, and this is, every now and then when you are, culling the herd, you're doing some reduction in your
blasphemy.
Every now and then if you might give one away or you might have sold one, and you kind of like, man, I really should have held on to that one. One of those instances is the AT&T S2 the first iteration. I haven't done the second, but that slant open comb, that was a fine shaven razor. But I don't know. Interesting, Dave. I don't know. I mean, I love my super speeds too, my vintage super speeds, and I really debated. It's like, okay, do I go with, my flare tip or my black handle?
Sure.
I use those, regularly in my rotation, and it's like, do I use that or the Aristocrat? And I was like, no. It's I mean, it really wasn't a decision.
Sure.
But I like the super speeds a lot as well. But
I think that brings up a good point, because to me, probably one of the best shaving DE razors is a long comb new. And I almost chose, and I almost chose that. But I think when you have a large collection, I've got to admit, the reason why I chose the 15 is because I looked at it, I drooled, and that's how it, and it came out. Because, for those of you that know the story behind how long it took me to find a decent Aristocrat 15, that was probably the reason being. Any final thoughts on the things that you found out during this, Chris?
The last one is that I do not me, so to speak, but my face does not like the 3 passes if I'm shaving every day. I'm good with what I call a DFS or a DFS plus, I'll call it. And I can get that with 2 passes. I mean, whether it's an injector, the feather style, a hybrid, it doesn't matter, especially traditional straight razor. I'm pretty consistent. Right. 2 passes, maybe a little cleanup, but just 2 passes, walk away with the DFS or DFS plus, and I'm good to go. But when I start doing every day, the 3 passes, after a few days, it's like, okay, I need a little bit more, balm there at the end or in the evening time. So, I'm good with the 2.
Well, I think you bring up a good point too. As scientific as we tried to become with this, all of us have different lineage, and what I mean by that is, whatever your lineage is determines what kind of face you have. If you're more European and fairer skin, it could be a little bit more sensitive, or it could be the exact opposite where you have Hispanic like myself and German. So you have a little bit of both. And I think that, how we eat, how we hydrate, all of those factors are things that in a shootout like this, there's no way of telling. And it's funny you bring that up, because I assume that with your DFS, you're doing with the grain, against the grain, and calling it good, correct?
Actually, I don't do against the grain, believe it or not. I do sort of a modified. Okay. It's more, I call it a modified against the grain. So it's not 100%. Right. That's what I have a very thick, coarse beard. And so going, 100% against the grain, I do more of a oblique, I guess you could say.
Sure. Well, like with me, like I said, we've mentioned this, and I chase BBS. And the funny thing is, when I get done, because I don't know if you guys remember a video that came out from Chemench when he did his 30th anniversary straight shave.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
That's kind of what I patterned my entire shaving system over. And after I mapped my beard, I found out that my with the grain pass is actually at a diagonal from my temple to my nose, and then my against the grain is literally a horizontal from my ear to my nose. So my hair grows in well, I guess being part Puerto Rican and part German, it couldn't make up its mind what it wanted to do. So to me, when I get done doing because I do it in this order, I do with the grain, I do across the grain, and then I do against the grain. And I could probably get away like you with doing those first 2 passes and calling it good, but there's this little angel and devil that pops up on my shoulder that says, you're already here, you got a full thing of soap, just finish it off. Now, have I paid for that in the past? Absolutely. Not every day. I mean, now I'm okay with it, but it's amazing how that changes. So thanks, Chris, for that. Mr. Lindsay, how about you?
Yeah, well, I had several surprises. One straight out the gate is how well the cartridge, the 6-blade 99-cent store job worked. Mm-hmm. It was quite comfortable. It wasn't like I was shaving with a shark blade. and it provided a pretty good result. In fact, a very good result. By the time I was done with 3 days of using it, I was pretty efficient. I had a lot of time left over in the morning because I usually spend much more time shaving. But the longevity on it was horrible, and more surprising than that was how the beard growth coming back hurt in the evening.
Interesting.
I like to do an evening lather, partly so I can use up some of the soap I have, but it's part of my prep. You know.
Chris, did you hear that? Mr. Holmes, did you hear that?
I did, yes.
But it's how I do it, and my face hurt. The hair hurt using the cartridge. Not in the morning, in the evening or later afternoon. So. What that means, I don't know. I mean, 6 blades too much, because everyone knows that if you're going to use a cartridge, use 1 or 2 blades and get the best results. The other surprise for me was how poorly the hybrid Raised Rock Silverhawk worked for me. I expected it to be, the feather type works beautifully. The hybrid type should be just as beautiful. And it was easy to use, or so I thought, but the more I thought about it, the harder it got to use. I've since practiced with it a little bit more, and I'm better at it. And I've created a shim and used a heavier handle, and things are better. So I think just straight out of the box, it was surprising that didn't work well. And then another interesting thing that I think I noticed was switching systems. We all did we didn't start with a straight, then do double, and then single. We all started somewhere, and we just kind of hopped around. And that's, I think, important for us to point out. But I noticed that switching systems meant, the very next shave, if I shaved with the cartridge for 3 days and then went to the Hawk, that first shave off the cartridge was better than the third shave. It seemed like every time we switched systems, that very first shave with the new system was the best it could be. And then, as I mentioned in my journal, after doing this, I swear my beard growth pattern changed. It was going straight back to straights. It took a while for me to get my beard trained to behave and get shaved with a straight again. So I think that, I don't know if that's a subjective thing or if that actually happened, but it's getting back in line now where I can do a 3-pass straight shave and be happy with a baby butt smooth face. But that's kind of where the surprises were for me.
Well, you bring up, because looking at all your different spreadsheets, it's funny that you mention that, because I think if you guys notice, the first shave of every system was, either we rated it the same, or like in my case, I did rate it a little bit lower, switching from, and looking at your other ones, there's times when you guys did as well. And what I'm wondering is, obviously your face adapts to the different system. I mean, would you agree that that's probably one of the things that happens?
Sure. Yeah.
Then you're right about the growth pattern. I did notice that as well. And the funny thing that you said that really hit me was when you said that when you were using the cartridge that your facial growth hurt. And I had the same thing happen. And I'm not sure what the Fusion has. I think it's 4 or 5 blades. I'm not sure. But I think what happens is that old, the old Gillette moniker, the first blade comes and stretches it out. The second blade stretches it out a little bit further. And the third blade slices it off. And then it buries itself in the hair follicle for you never to see again. I'm wondering if that pulling, that pulling rather than the slicing had something to do with it. What do you guys think?
Yeah, I'm game for that. Sounds good to me. I don't know. It hurt though.
I only had 2 blades, so I didn't have that kind of effect. So,
Walt, did you have anything that seemed different with the cartridge?
I've never been prone to ingrown hairs and whatnot, but reading in the boards about people who are, that the multi-blade cartridge razor systems did promote ingrown hairs for some people to a point where it was just unbearable.
Sure.
And they basically would shave once a month or something like that.
Wow.
And that, they're taken with going to a DE or some other single-bladed system, just how smooth they can shave right routinely and not be challenged with the ingrown hair. So I wonder if there's a little bit of that going on.
Could be. Good. Well, and I think culturally there's got to, obviously, Chris said he had a very coarse whisker. Mine is, like I think Larry El Marco says that he's got, facial flowers. Because they're not very thick. I probably fall into that. And I think when you come from like an islander, because let's face it, hair was put on our bodies to keep us warm. And I think that depending on where your lineage comes from, half of my lineage comes from a Caribbean island. You don't need hair that much. So I think that has a lot to do with it. And I always joke around that my facial hair grows in geologic time, because it took me 3 years to grow a handlebar mustache. So I guess that's where it goes. But very interesting. Walt, before we go to our break, why don't you finish it up for us on the surprises and results that you had?
Sure, I'd like to. Thanks, Dave. I think I let the cat out of the bag on our last show. That the biggest surprise for me was just how well I felt the Mach 3 shaved my face when I applied proper lather, proper technique, proper everything. It was just a very smooth and satisfying result immediately post-shave. And I agree with everybody else's consensus that the longevity just was not there, and a few hours in, and it was somewhat of a disappointment. So that was one thing. And I wanted to talk a little bit about the overall score. You had mentioned that the overall score was where we put our preferences in our shaving system into it. We're trying to be objective with the other aspects of it, but if we're going to influence it with any bias, that we do it in the overall scoring area. And so, and I wanted to talk about that with the hybrid. So I gave the hybrid, the single edge, and the double edge all the same score from the overall score. Simply because I'm a straight razor guy. I like using a straight razor. And the straight razor that I like to use the most is the traditional straight razor, not the feather straight razor. Okay. And the reason I like to use that, because it's up to me to make it sharp, and if I don't make it sharp, I don't get a very good shave. My hybrid, had I eliminated the overall, I think my hybrid would have been right up there with the straight razor and the feather type. So in my instance, the hybrid came in number 3, right. With the traditional straight being 1 and the feather being 2. The other thing I wanted to touch briefly upon, I began this journey thinking efficiency on daily shaves, getting up in shave, going to work, and trying to get to the point where I could just do a 2-pass and go. I never got to that point where I was satisfied with 2 passes. I typically would do a 2.5, where I would do my jawline and neck up to the jawline. I'd do a 3rd pass on it, and I can attain BBS that way pretty much all the time. But I have recently, within the last 6-8 months, I don't know, maybe a year, have just gone to a flat-out 3-pass shave. Right. And so I find that it's too much enjoyment, and I'm not ready to go to work yet, so why not put an extra pass in?
Well, that brings up, before we go to break, I want to ask each one of you, from the time that you start shaving, to the time you're ready to walk out of the bathroom, how long is that for you? Walt, go ahead, you tell me how long.
Oh, golly. Don't know if I ever timed it like that. I kind of keep track of the total time.
Sure.
Because in my routine, I shave right out of the shower.
Right.
Then I got the maintenance, and then the brush and the scuttle, and then the teeth and the flossing, and then the hair.
Well, you can include that. Now let's make it easy. Go ahead and include that from post shower till done. What would you say that is?
I'm going to say I'm probably 40 minutes.
Okay. How about you, Mr. Lindsay?
I'm 30 minutes, probably at the most during the week. I'm in the bathroom a total of 40 to 50 minutes at the high end. So yeah, I'm probably a 30-minute shave, I guess.
Okay.
Shave, and that includes any post care that I do.
Sure. How about you, Chris?
It actually varies depending on the razor type I'm using. What kind of soap if it's a soap that's I'm just totally digging it, and I'm going to do multiple passes just because it smells so good. If I've got the house to myself or not, but no question, I'm using a straight razor. I've spent an hour.
Okay.
Just from the minute you walk in the door type of thing till you're walking out. So that's stropping and all your prep, and then doing your passes and whatnot.
Well,
I'd say on average probably 30 minutes at least. 30 to 40.
Sure.
Somewhere in that neighborhood.
Well, for me, it's about an hour. Total. But what's funny, when you said you were totally digging it and nobody being in the house, all I can picture in my mind is you running around the house with the soap going, I love you, I dig it, I dig it, I dig it, I dig it. Because like I said, as we mentioned in the last show.
I don't know about that.
Well, no, but as we mentioned in the last show, nobody makes shaving sound as good as you do as far as products. It's just wonderful.
Well, there are definitely certain soap fragrances that I definitely favor over others. Let's just put it that way.
Sure. Well, ladies and gentlemen, when we get back from the break, we will have the final reveal. Gentlemen, are you ready for that?
Ready.
So we'll be right back after this. And for these messages from Captain's Choice Products, we'll be right back.
Aye, mateys. Ha ha ha. Captain No-Beard here. Managing a pirate ship can be stressful, and it can be hard to find time for myself, except for my daily morning shave. To give myself that wonderful shave experience, I use Captain's Choice products. The quality of the soaps, creams, and aftershaves and balms are top-notch for my daily parlay with my face. Plus, they have wonderful accessories including lather bowls, one-of-a-kind soap lockers, and brushes. My favorite is the cat-o'-nine tails. Oh, what a burn. But all the products are treasures. So nice are my morning shaves
that it transforms me into a true gentleman for a time before having to become a pirate again. So,
if you are looking for the best in shave products, look no further. Anchor up and get your treasure at CaptainsChoiceStore.com. Yo ho, it's Captain's Choice for me.
Captain's Choice Products, www.captainschoicestore.com. Once again, we'd like to thank Captain's Choice Products for being one of our on-air sponsors for Badger and Blade Radio. And please remember that Badger and Blade Radio airs every 2 weeks at www.badgerandblade.com and across all platforms, including podcast and our YouTube page. So please make sure you like us on Facebook as well. Well, we're going to finish it up, and now it's time for the big reveal. Drum roll, please. And at number 6, anybody have any guesses?
Cartridge.
Yes, with a total score of 57, the cartridge razor. Now, I must note that these were all rounded for purposes of ease, but it came in at a 57. The hybrid type, which is like the RX, the Colonial General, came in with a score of 66. At number 5. At number 4, which this was a big surprise for me, was the feather type at a 63. Well, excuse me, yeah. No, I'm sorry. I'm screwing that up. Sorry about that. Okay, back up. The cartridge came in 6. We're agreed there at 57. The feather, that's the one that surprised me. The feather came in at number 5 with a score of 63, which surprised me, but that was based on all of us together. The number 4 was the hybrid. Once again, I thought that would place a little bit higher, and the hybrid was at 66. Now, this is the one that opened the eyes a little bit. The number 2 and number 3 were the double edge and the single edge, and believe it or not, they were tied with 69 points, which I thought, and then of course, as we had figured, at 72 points was the straight razor. So even though we each had individual ones that came out first, overall based on the scores. Now, what I thought was really interesting is in the overall daily scores, because we each had 3 shaves each, and there were varieties of how we scored the shave. In fact, I think Chris Lindsay, you had mentioned how the different shaves went, but believe it or not, in the daily scores across the entire razors, the scores were the same for all 3 days once they were averaged out. For instance, on the straight razor, it scored 24 across the board. The double edge razor scored 23 across the board, as did the single edge. The feather type scored 21 across the board. The hybrid was 22 across the board, so it actually beat the feather in that section. And then the cartridge type, came in at 19 for an overall daily score. So it was very, very interesting how this all played out. And I was really surprised that the double edge and the single edge tied. So now that you know the results, Walt, are you surprised with that, or does that figure where you thought they'd come in at?
Well, I'm not surprised at number 6, but I am sort of surprised that the feather and the hybrid didn't score higher, because just in my spreadsheet it was number 1 straight, number 2 feather, number 3 hybrid, and then single edge and I think double edge came in, and then single edge. But that's a bit surprising to me as well. The type of razor that was used for the hybrid may have influenced that by quite a bit, but that's a little surprising to me.
Sure. Go ahead.
No, it is somewhat surprising, but it's kind of consistent with the results that I got. I think the thing that keeps the feather type down is the amount of concentration. Difficulty of use. It's not difficult, but it requires attention. It scores high in every category as far as smoothness and longevity, but that attention that it takes can kind of knock it down. So it just doesn't feel like it would be an everyday razor. I know that we have some members that prefer that to a straight, but they prefer it because they don't like the maintenance.
Good point.
And so it's consistent with what I would have thought. I kind of feel bad because my use of the hybrid probably isn't consistent with someone who's used it more. Dave, you have an excellent instrument, so your results are going to, and you know how to use it, right. So your results are going to be better than mine. But there's enough of us here to make the scores average out.
Well, and that's what I think is important, because obviously the RX is headed your way here in a little while, so you're going to get a chance with it. But I think you're right, because I actually, believe it or not, I scored the hybrid. The RX came in at number 2 for me, followed by number 3 with the Cami. Excuse me, the double edge, single edge, then the cartridge. So it's really interesting, of course, with the straight being number 1. Chris, how did your results and any surprises with these final numbers?
The top 3 for me, not really. It doesn't matter the order. The injector, the traditional straight, or the double edge. But one thing I found, I'm not sure I would call this a surprise, so to speak, but the hybrid. I used the Razor Rock and I used the RX. That style of razor, it's not really for me, and it's doesn't have anything to do with the quality of the shave per se, other than it's the size of it. I mean, it's the length of it. If I'm going to use a blade that's that long, well, then I'll use the feather.
That's a good point.
Straight.
It's a good point.
Or I'll just use my straight razor. If I want the ease of, or quote unquote ease of shaving with quickly, I guess you could say, well, then I'll grab an injector or the DE. I mean, so to me, and it was difficult. I forgot to mention this earlier. That size razor head, the Adam's apple for me is the most difficult on that razor. To try to that's the area that always prevented me from getting a solid BBS on that razor. Now, was it because of the it's a mild razor, or is it the shape? I think it's more the shape, personally, because I remember, the RX, and I had kind of the same issue there. So that probably the main one that I haven't mentioned before.
Well, and it's interesting because I think, because obviously the injector, which I have very, very, very little experience with, as opposed to the single edge, because obviously the injector and the single edge we throw in at the same, the gem style razor. And I think that the reason why the gem didn't probably score as well as I thought it might is simply because the ergonomics of using a gem, I would assume that the ergonomics of using a gem versus using an injector are still a little bit different, just simply because of the head size. I mean, you've got a shovel, you've got a shovel.
I mean, I considered using my gem or, what is it, Eversharp, the shovel head.
Sure.
But I mean, I discounted them immediately just because I like the injector so much. And mainly, one of the main things is because of the maneuverability of it.
Sure.
I mean, just pure and simple. I mean, if I had a mustache, then I might have a different opinion. But since I don't, then the ergonomics is a definite factor for me.
It's funny you mentioned the mustache thing, because good old Walt, Walt, I must apologize to you on air. I did not know that the blasted blue willy caused such a depressing mental thing to you. Because he's never let me live it down, and then you had to jab me with the mustache thing last week, saying, "Well, Dave's really not a true shaver because he doesn't shave the hard parts." So you know what?
I think I brought gender into that too. But
yeah, but well, Walt, remember I did send you to the movies, so be nice to me sometimes. No, I'm just kidding.
Yeah. I wanted to touch on something that Chris H. had said, and that is true, and I agree with that. That both the single edge and the double edge, from a maneuverability standpoint, and getting the razor to attack the whiskers in the way you want it to, and in my case, it's a true against the grain everywhere on the face. Those are the only two razors I can really do that with. Well, I could also get it done with the cartridge as well. But with the straight razor and the feather and with the hybrid, that is one ding against the hybrid is the width of that head, and it's more like a straight razor in that you can't. I can get more against the grain with the hybrid than I can with either the feather or the straight, but I can't do it as well as I can with the double edge or with the injector.
Well, that brings up another good point too. Is that we as shave hobbyists, we're purists, and those of us that have gone to straight shaving only are purists. That if we pick up any other type of razor, then it isn't really considered a straight shave. But what you guys were just talking about brings up a good point. It's your shave. Obviously we're not trying to tell, and please, hopefully B&B members, we're not trying to tell you what the best system is. We're just giving you our results. You shave what you want to shave with. It's your shave. It's your face. But it brings up a good point that if, like with me, I am very OCD when it comes to, if I'm shaving with a straight, I'm shaving with a straight, which means that if I run into an area of my Adam's apple where I cannot get, perfectly BBS, I will figure out a way to contort my wrist and contort my razor to where I can actually get in there and, whether it be buffing it or otherwise, which opens me up to instant sushi if I do it the wrong way. So my question to you guys is this: if you're using a razor system that you can't completely get BBS, if that's what you're searching for, is it wrong? Or what's your opinion if, let's say, you go 3 passes with a straight razor, but there's one little area you want to be BBS, but you can't quite get it there? Is there anything wrong with picking up the DE to finish it up?
No.
In fact, Ouch, I think, made a statement a while back where he said he does his first pass with, I can't remember what it was, because it's perfect for reduction, and then he does an injector, and then he does his. I know that was probably tongue-in-cheek, but the truth is, if you're after a if your objective is to get a baby butt smooth face, get it. Mm-hmm. Do whatever it is. But I have mornings where I'm not going to do it. I will accept something less. And others, yesterday, I had a blade that I had honed and done apparently poorly because I just wasn't getting what I wanted. I grabbed that Razor Rock Hawk that I'd shimmed up and done things with. I did one pass with that to clean everything up. And I'll tell you, the longevity of yesterday's shave was incredible. And I wouldn't have thought that. I didn't get it with the Hawk during the trials here. Wow. I'll tell you that. Well, it was a great shave.
That brings up a good point, because for me, and this is probably the OCD nature of me, if I don't get my true BBS or DSBBS shave with the straight, then I don't rate it that way, but I will sit there and I will try to get it. But that brings up a really good point, is that if we've got all these razor systems, and this may be something for another shave roundtable, and I think you guys know where I'm going with this, is that, what gives the ultimate shave, or what gives the ultimate combination if you use, because I know, Chris, that's the way I started with straights. I started with the first pass, like you had told me, the first pass with a DE, and then come back in with the straight as you get to know it. And I'm approaching 680 straight shaves now, but that may be something worth experimentation to say, okay, for this shave, I'm going to use a straight, a DE, or an injector, for 3 passes, and see, if you can squeeze out the ultimate shave with all 3. Now, would we do that on a normal daily basis? No, but in the essence of just seeing if that would work, it might be something worthwhile. But to me, this entire experiment has opened my eyes up a little bit. We've come at it from different standpoints. Whether, like you said, Chris, I think going forward, if we do another type of shave roundtable like that, we may say, okay, the number of passes that you normally use to get you where you want to be may be a better way of going through that, because that way it doesn't force somebody into doing something that, may cause them irritation down the road, and stuff like that. So it's been a learning experience for us. It's also our first one, and I think it went very, very well. And I want to thank you guys for being as candid as you were. And before we go, do you have any final thoughts for the members of B&B, and final thoughts about this experiment? Walt, why don't you take off with that?
Sure. Well, thanks, Dave. I guess, this isn't life or death. This is shaving. And, we all kind of kid each other and talk about facial hair or lack of it, and et cetera, et cetera. But at the end of the day, this is just shaving. I'm just thankful that, number one, I'm thankful for Badger and Blade and the relationships that I've been able to make in the journals, and my post count's relatively low for the number of years I've been active, and that's simply because I don't go outside the journals much anymore.
Sure.
If I'm trying to look at a new system or thinking of doing something new, then I'll go out and post in other parts of the journal. But pretty much stick to saying this is what I did, this is what I learned, and posting it there. But at the end of the day, it's shaving, and it's what I'm enjoying about it is that I'm enjoying shaving, and I never did that before. And that's if it's a Schick injector that does it for you, then shave with a Schick injector. If you want to, spend the months it takes to learn how to get proficient at a straight razor, well then, do that. If you clean up with a DE, do that. Have fun with it.
Sure.
Life's too short.
Mr. Holmes, how about you?
I was going to share the same sentiment that none of us we don't need to take ourselves seriously, and use what you like, and don't worry about what other people say or think about it. There's certainly an aftershave that comes to mind. For a different show.
Don't go there. Don't go there, because you don't want to make the green goddess mad yet, because you're still halfway there.
So the bottom line is hey, just use what you like and enjoy yourself. So that's and it's been I've enjoyed doing the shootout. I've enjoyed being able to use different stuff now, not being stuck with the same soap for 18 shaves. You 30-17ers out there. Hey,
respect.
I bow to you. I don't see how you do it. So, anyway, it was a lot of fun. So thanks a lot.
Well, thanks a lot, Chris. And Mr. Holmes, bring us home.
Well, you guys said don't take it serious. Take me seriously. We see. Your mileage may vary. Well, I look at that a little bit differently. I think your mileage may vary means it's going to take you a little longer to figure out what I just did. And the thing is, I know what I like, and eventually you'll figure that part out too.
Wow.
It's just the way it works. But the other side of that is, I like what I like when I like it. And who knows? It may be that, except the injector. That one's pretty cool. I think I like that all the time.
Sure.
But, your mood changes, things change, things happen. And I don't think, I think it's a journey. And the title of my journal is reflective of that. It's a journey to get there, and everything that we do. The only reason I choose to change things up is because it's more fun to do so. Mm-hmm. Obviously, if I had to nail it down, the injector or the DE would make me quite happy. I get great results there.
Sure.
But I guess I don't know if I'm schizophrenic. I'm not sure exactly if that fits. But my mood changes. I pick up a different tool and I enjoy it.
Sure.
And that's the way it is.
Well, I'm just, basically on what I've heard today, you guys should be very thankful that we don't have the titles in the new software anymore, because all kinds of monikers come out. Well, first and foremost, before we finish up, guys, I want to thank you so much for taking part in the 18 days that it took to do this. And Chris, you had mentioned about 3017ing. I've got to throw a nod to one of our moderators, Rock Viper Sam. He is in the middle of 3017ing some P160, and if you look at his journal, you'll see that some people are guessing all the way out into 2019 when he'll be done with that. And I've got to say, more power to you, Sam. I could never ever do it. It was tough enough for me to do the BBW, and Walt, we already know your feeling on that. To do this 18, yeah.
It sounds like Walt found a razor and soap he's ready to use forever.
Yeah, exactly. But
I have no problems 3017.
Just not junk, right? Okay, I apologize there. It's done. But it just goes to show that we all come at shaving from a different standpoint. And one thing I'll say, and I think that all of us would agree, that Badger and Blade is a special place. I mean, some of us have become friends, and we've never even shaken each other's hands. And I would honestly say I've got friends on this forum that I would consider probably closer than some people in the real world, because of that common interest that we have. And we say that it's just shaving, but it's become a habit, and it's become a hobby for us, and it's a pretty darn good hobby because we're now actually taking care of ourselves. Think about this. Go back 20 years and walk up to your father and say, "Hey, Dad, what do you think about this fragrance?" And watch him look at you like, "Oh no, what's happened?" You don't have that back then. And I think that men's care and the way we care about things and the different soaps and the different artisans that are coming out. There was a thread in a different part of the forum that indicated, are we in the golden age, and is it going to go away? And you guys remember, you've been around long enough to remember when everybody was worried about shave apocalypse, everything was going to go away. With what's coming out now, I don't see that happening. I think that the golden age is here. I think that it's going to continue. For instance, I don't know if you guys knew this, but AT&T, one of our on-air sponsors, is coming out with a brand new razor called the Windsor. It's a DE style razor but it's in solid stainless steel, and he's also coming out with that same version in what they call a beryllium copper. And if you guys haven't looked at it, you need to go look at it, because even though I don't DE shave anymore, I have a funny feeling that that's going to end up in my den, because it's just a beautiful razor. So I think, even though all four of us here are pretty much primarily straight razor shavers now, it was very nice and very, very open to see the fact that we did have good results with all the different razors. But I would have to say, if we're doing the old Mythbusters thing, that we would have to say that this one is confirmed. When you hear people around the forum saying you're never going to get a good a shave as a straight razor, well, if we go by purely numbers, and once again, the way it fell in, the number one shaving system that we found out was the straight razor, followed by the single edge and double edge being tied, followed by the hybrid feather system, which is basically a feather style DE, followed by the feather type system straight razor, followed by the cartridge. Would you guys agree, guys, that we pretty much confirmed what some of the people have been saying?
Absolutely.
Yeah, I'd say so.
Well, once again, guys,
six blade systems are busted.
Busted. Yeah, I'll have to figure out if I can find a way to get a busted picture on here for the thing. Well, gentlemen, once again, thank you for spending your Labor Day and spending the 18 days doing this. We'd like to tell the B&B members to keep an eye out for other shave roundtables that we'll be doing over the next year or so. We do certainly hope that you found this informative. We're not telling anybody what they need to shave with, but this gives you kind of a somewhat pseudoscientific look at the different shaving systems that are out there. So once again, gentlemen, thank you so much for spending time on B&B Radio.
It's been a pleasure.
Thank you, Dave.
Yeah, it's been fun.
Good night. And now for some news and events around BadgerandBlade.com. In the haberdashery, there is a PIF going on, our Labor Day PIF, now through the 9th of September, so please head on over to the haberdashery to get involved in that. Now, the Mohr auction. It is coming up October 19th. We still need plenty of donations, but we have an auction that's already started. That's right, ladies and gentlemen, in celebration of Sue's life and to benefit the good work of the National Breast Cancer Foundation, we are proud to offer 4 tickets for a Yankees, that's right, yes, a Yankees game versus the Tampa Bay Rays on 9/28. This was donated by SS Kim. Thank you very much, Tom. We appreciate it. So once again, 4 tickets, Yankees versus Tampa Bay, 7:05 p.m. on September 28th, section 323, row 2. So head on over to the general shaving discussion. The auction will take place until September 21st at 8 p.m. Eastern Daylight Time. So get in on that for you Yankees fans. So as far as the auction is concerned, anything you can donate, we certainly appreciate it. As far as any hardware, it can be new or used. As far as shaving software, we do prefer that it is in unused condition. And as far as other things, anything you like, anything from the haberdashery, you name it. If we've got a forum for it, there's a good chance that you can donate it. Obviously not controlled substances, alcohol, or firearms, but pretty much anything else. So please get involved with the Mohr Memorial Auction. Once again, those dates are October 19th. And it will run for 3 days, and we're hoping to have a play-by-play of all the auctions. So get involved either by buying or by donating. We certainly appreciate your help each and every day. Now, in our soap forum, we have Spike Timber. That means using Spike soap and aftershaves as much as you can. In the Safety Razor forum, make sure you check out the Super Speed thread, which has got quite a lot of traction lately. Once again, in the haberdashery, we have the What You Are Wearing, or Watch What You're Wearing. These are the folks that have kind of crossed over between watch collecting and shaving. There's a lot of beautiful hardware in there, both automatic and quartz, so please check that out. We'd also like to welcome our new stews, Glenn in the Safety Razor Forum and David in the haberdashery. We've got a few more coming, and we'll get to those as more shows come up. In the darkroom, the August photo winner was Ninja Shaver. Diagonal theme was the contest, and the nice thing about it is that there are some gorgeous pictures over there. Now, the new game, the new contest has started over in the darkroom, and it is for framed items. Now, what this basically means is if you look through a window, and that window becomes your frame. Check on how to get into that contest over in the darkroom, and it's a lot of fun. Usually, the contest will run through the 19th with voting between the 20th and 26th. So check out the darkroom for that. Now, also, Sam has indicated to us that honing has defeated him. Yes, ladies and gentlemen, you hear a collective awe come across the film. I think that Sam is just kidding because he's been a straight razor shaver for a while, and he's probably a pretty good honer. He's just making a joke. So, Sam, we wish you the best of luck. Don't give up. Now, last week we had told you that we were going to have a special interest story. Now, unfortunately, we ran out of time, so we're getting to it this week. And we'd like to let all the members know that if you have a special interest story that you think the members would like and enjoy, please either PM me, Skyside, or post it in the video library forum. So this special interest story comes from C6, and Owen was the one who gave that to us, and it goes, and it was about straight shaving, and Owen, SDM84, offered a piff for honing, and this is how this all came in. So this is from Skizix. Mine came in today. I'll share the backstory with Owen, and I feel that I should preface this posting it for everyone. Back in 1984, I befriended an elderly barber who practiced his trade back in the 1920s and 30s, when straight razors were state of the art. He spoke so longingly of their virtue that I decided to assume the practice myself. The old-timer pressed upon me the necessity of having a rotation of at least 2 razors, one to use one day and the one to use the other day, while the other straight razor rested. I managed to acquire a pair under his tutelage and entered the rarefied world of elite straight razor shavers. The old gent was happy to maintain my edges for me until, sadly, my old friend passed away from his level of existence to the next, and I was left unequipped and untutored in the mysteries of honing. By this time, old-fashioned barbers were now extinct and replaced with hairstylists who were no help in the quest for his edge. This was before I discovered the internet, and it seemed that my only choice was to put away my old razors, and I did that, dear friends. They languished in a closet for almost 30 years, unused and forgotten, as I returned to shaving by other methods. This was until I had the good fortune and luck to see timing of Owen's magnanimous post offering to hone the razors of 5 members. I remembered my old pals secretly away in my bathroom cabinet, and off they went on a trip to the Sunshine State, where they would find the care they needed. They returned today. I had, in anticipation, allowed myself a 4-day growth. Indeed, so much like a Skid Row bum, I did not appear that I feared of being picked up for vagrancy. I unpacked them and ruminated for quite a while, deciding which one to use first. It turned out to be my old champion Sheffield blade, whipping up froth of my favorite soap, DRH Arlington, with my now vintage KH3 brush. I lathered up, and with some trepidation, I applied the blade to cheek, as I hadn't used a straight razor for a score of years, but like riding a bicycle, it came back to me, although it would take some time to acclimatize, as I had never shaved before with a right blind left eye as I must now. I was amazed as I listened to the keen edge mow down my growth and marveled how smooth and effortlessly it parted man from beard. Indeed, the experience was exactly as I remember from past using of a properly honed razor. I almost got away with one pass, but there were some stubborn patches on my neck, and since I was having such a good time, I went at it over again with another angle of attack, and that did it. Found the edge as smooth and as comfortable as when the old barber used to hone my razors. Maybe even a little better. Thank you so much, Owen, for putting me back in action. I'm looking forward to shaving with the Wadsworth tomorrow. I'll surely post a report. Now, the nice thing about that story, guys, is this is what B&B is all about. Plain and simple. Skizix had 2 razors he put away. Happened to see Owen's post about honing for free, just to do a service. And I think you'll find as you get more and more involved in the forums here, that you'll find that all of us will give stuff away, we'll accept stuff, and we're there to help everybody as much as we can. This is not your typical forum. It is not your typical shaving forum. There is a level of gentlemanliness here that I don't think you'll find anywhere else. So, Owen and Skizix, thank you so much for sharing that story. We certainly do appreciate it. And finally, in our news and events tonight, yes, it's coming. It's coming tomorrow.
Good afternoon, B&B. This is B for Bingo. We are taking over the B&B Radio Show for just a moment to speak directly to the contestants of the upcoming official B&B Bingo game in the video library. We must tell you, this will be such a game. You will be taken on an adventure that you have never been on before, and the numbers could be called like this, or they could be called like this, or they could be hidden altogether throughout the entire forum. So if you have not signed up yet, please do so, and join us on September 5th for the B&B Bingo game to finish out the 2017 season. See you there.
Well, this brings another episode of Badger and Blade Radio to a close, and as always, we'd like to thank you for listening and spending part of your holiday with B&B Radio. Just a reminder that we do air every 2 weeks here at www.badgerandblade.com across all formats, including YouTube and Facebook and podcasts. So please go to our YouTube page, like and subscribe. Please also go to our Facebook page and like and subscribe as well. As always, we'd like to thank the moderators and the stewards for all the hard work they do each and every day. Please remember, members, that these are volunteer positions and they try to do everything they can to make your stay here at Badger and Blade more enjoyable each and every day. We'd also like to thank the admin and owners for bringing us this lovely site, a true oasis in the interwebs, so to speak. And most importantly, we'd like to thank you, the member. You are the lifeblood of BadgerandBlade.com, and together we are B&B. I've been your host, Skyside Dave, and see us on the next episode of Badger and Blade Radio.